What is up YouTube, and welcome to this Candyman 2021 video breakdown and discussing my thoughts on this pure masterpiece. I will admit the first movie just wasn't for me. I found it took far too long to get going and it just never really kind of clicked with me, which I was a bit disappointed with because there are so many people who love it. Now, while this movie, the reboot or sequel, has mirrored the first, the tension was rammed up better with the killings and the score being miles better than the ethereal, airy-fairy first movie. It's highly implied that Helen Lyle is the reincarnation of the original Candyman's lover. He was murdered by his lover's father's hired goons and smeared with honey to force death by bees as the bystanders chanted Candyman. Now, both movies are the Candyman finding and trying to turn someone, which he does sort of succeed in both, really, as he found Anthony after he was stung by one of the bees when he visited Carbini Green or returned to Carbini Green. 2021 Candyman does a better job with the lore and myth of Candyman, where the first movie did focus on a white woman investigating the myth and mystery. Here, we see and hear about the legend via Burke, the laundromat owner, last inhabitant of the hood, and twice sort of victim of the Candyman. Over time, the Candyman legend has evolved into a folklore, and the whole original possessed others to do this and do these horrible things, and there are innocent bystanders who also get mistook for Candyman, and this forms the basis of the opening, where we see a young Burke encounter a man thought to be Candyman who gets no due process and is murdered by the police, adding to this innocent man to the legend, and that explains why there are so many Candy men. He would later experience his sister being killed by this version of Candyman, the one who was just a normal person living in the walls, probably someone who had mental health problems and did kind of think he was Candyman and ended up becoming him. However, in the modern day, the hood is being bought out and torn down to make space for rich white people. Yes, there is the fact that the hood was a byproduct of zoning laws, white flight, and mortgages that were only granted to people of colour in certain areas. Due to affluent residents moving out and bringing their wealth with them, the area did become run down, and systemic racism did create it, along with the Candyman myth and further social problems, led to the developers snapping it up and knocking it down to create rich areas, which is where Anthony and his partner moved to. Now, there are people who said that this movie has become woke, Wait, the first one was woke. It was addressing this social inequality and the kind of metaphorical boogeyman of the Candyman. And I don't really understand why people are trying to make this into a thing when it's really not a thing. It is told expertly here in this movie, and along with the shots, the acting from the main character, and the rest of the cast, it is next to none. Now, Burke knew all of these stories, and he knew the minute that he met Anthony, well, Anthony was the kid from the first movie, who in now a legend, was someone who was saved by Helen Lyle. In her last act of defiance against Candyman, she saved the child that he wanted to steal to actually become a sacrifice for him. And, well, what happened was Anthony then went on to live in the south side of Chicago, and his mother told him a lie until he went to her when he was half pretty much converted. Now, Burke knew the minute Anthony, or at least the minute he met Anthony, that who exactly he was. So he set up all of this and engineered it all as a false flag to have a new Candyman to scare out developers to stop the rest of Carbini Green from being gentrified, aka too expensive for the residents and destroyed. Anthony was found when walking around Carbini Green as he was stung and begun to transform. He met Burke, who told him all about the story of Candyman, and Burke wanted to create the legend of Candyman again, but as an instrument of vengeance and not a symbol of suffering, and take control of generational trauma stories that have happened. His sister was killed by the man murdered by the police, who was turned into Candyman, and all of this was done to preserve the neighborhood. And, well, it is crazy. Really, really good double twist there. The corruption takes over Anthony, and the movie and really the whole thing is about him becoming Candyman. It did become a bit janky in parts with the bee sting corrupting him and things like that. But again, the first movie was really weird. But he ends all of this as he ends his enemies and fully becomes the Candyman. And at the end, he is actually murdered by police, becoming full circle in that story that has plagued this community for, well, over a century. And now we see this, and his girlfriend does summon him as the spirit of vengeance, and at the end we see the full, true Tony Todd actor as the original Candyman. Overall, just a superb movie. I love the connections to the original with Helen Lyle's audio tapes that she recorded in her investigations, and also the story of her now becoming part and folding in to the Candyman legend. Of course, this is a sequel to the original movie, and the two sequels of the original Candyman are now kind of cut off, just like what happened with the Halloween Kills and the Halloween reboots that have happened now, which I think are really good. But that is it for this video, so please do drop a like down below, do subscribe with notifications on, and I'll see you soon, and goodbye.